Somewhere in your body right now, a war is ending. A pill you swallowed 20 minutes ago just shut down a signal that was screaming. Relief. Simple. Instant. But that same molecule didn't just silence your pain. It walked into a second battlefield, one you were never warned about. And what happens there decides whether this trade was a good one.
Welcome to Vital Code. Today, we're decoding one of the most used medications on the planet, and the mechanism most people never get told about. It's not a warning, it's not a scare. It's the actual biology behind an instruction you've read 100 times. Take with food. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that instruction exists. Let's decode it. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, are some of the most widely used medicines on the planet. Ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin in its own class. They bring down fevers, calm inflammation, and mute pain that would otherwise dominate your day. And they do it through one single, elegant mechanism. But that mechanism doesn't know the difference between a painful joint and a healthy stomach lining. To understand why, we need to meet the enzyme this entire story revolves around.
Here's why this matters, whether you take one ibuprofen a year or one a day. The enzyme NSAIDs block is called cyclooxygenase, or COX. COX makes prostaglandins, signaling molecules with two very different jobs depending on where they're made. In an injured joint, prostaglandins amplify pain and swelling. But in your stomach lining, a related prostaglandin pathway maintains the protective mucus barrier that keeps stomach acid from digesting the stomach itself. Block the enzyme everywhere, and you turn off both jobs at once.
For most of aspirin's history, nobody actually knew why it worked. It was used for decades as a functional mystery, effective but mechanistically unexplained. That changed once researchers identified prostaglandins and traced their production back to the COX enzyme. Suddenly, a century-old medicine had a molecular explanation. And that explanation revealed something uncomfortable. The same enzyme responsible for pain was also standing guard somewhere else entirely present. COX actually exists as two related enzymes, and the distinction matters. COX-1 is the housekeeper, present in tissues all the time, maintaining stomach lining protection and normal platelet function. COX-2 is the responder. It ramps up specifically at sites of injury or inflammation, driving the pain and swelling you actually feel. Most common NSAIDs, like ibuprofen, don't discriminate. They inhibit both COX-1 and COX-2 together, which means the same dose calming your knee is also quieting your stomach's housekeeper. This is the exact fork in the mechanism the entire paradox comes from.
Here's the mechanism, precisely. Stomach acid is powerful enough to digest tissue, including your own stomach wall. What stops that is a layer of protective mucus and bicarbonate maintained continuously by COX-1-driven prostaglandins. When an NSAID suppresses COX-1 alongside COX-2, that protective layer thins. With less of a buffer, stomach acid can irritate the lining directly, which is the actual mechanistic reason take with food isn't superstition. Food doesn't fix the enzyme blockage. It buys the lining some extra physical protection while the blockage is active.
So, how much does this actually matter in practice? The mechanism scales with dose and duration. A single occasional tablet suppresses COX-1 only briefly. Regular, prolonged use suppresses it continuously, giving the stomach lining far less time to recover its protective barrier between doses. That's why clinical guidance distinguishes sharply between short-term occasional use and long-term daily use. Same drug, same mechanism, completely different risk profile depending on the pattern of use.
This is a conversation for you and your prescriber,
Step
not a reason to
outside the
fear a
lab,
single
and
tablet.
this mechanism is playing out in bathroom cabinets everywhere. People managing arthritis, athletes managing chronic strain, anyone with a recurring headache. Most already know the basic rule. Take it with food, don't exceed the label. What the mechanism adds isn't a new rule. It's the reason the existing rule actually works. Knowing why turns a habit into an informed decision. That's the entire philosophy behind Vital Code. This mechanism is exactly why clinical guidance consistently recommends the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration with NSAIDs. It's not a vague caution. It's a direct response to the COX-1 trade-off we just walked through. Shorter duration means less continuous suppression, which means more recovery time for the stomach's protective lining. This is precision guidance, built on precision biology. Which raises the obvious next question. What if you need longer-term relief? Pharmaceutical science actually tried to engineer around this exact trade-off. Selective COX-2 inhibitors were developed to target the responder enzyme driving pain and inflammation, while sparing the COX-1 housekeeper protecting the stomach. On paper, that's the perfect fix. Relief without the gastrointestinal cost. It promised the benefit of NSAIDs without the paradox. A precision tool built entirely from understanding this one mechanism. So, did it deliver exactly what it promised? Pharmaceutical science actually tried to engineer around this exact trade-off. Selective COX-2 inhibitors were developed to target the responder enzyme driving pain and inflammation, while sparing the COX-1 housekeeper protecting the stomach. On paper, that's the perfect fix. Relief without the gastrointestinal cost. It promised the benefit of NSAIDs without the paradox. A precision tool built entirely from understanding this one mechanism. So, did it deliver exactly what it promised? Zoom out, and this isn't just a stomach story. The same COX pathway also influences kidney blood flow and platelet function, which is part of why NSAID use is approached carefully in certain kidney conditions, and why aspirin's antiplatelet effect is used deliberately in cardiovascular care. One enzyme, multiple downstream jobs in multiple organ systems. This is the pattern behind nearly every medication trade-off you'll ever hear about. A drug rarely does one thing. It does one thing everywhere that mechanism exists. Understanding that is the actual key to reading any medication label differently. The painkiller paradox isn't a design flaw. It's the direct, logical consequence of how one enzyme serves two jobs. Every take with food label, every shortest duration guideline, every reason your pharmacist double checks your other medications, it all traces back to this exact mechanism. This isn't a reason to fear a common medication. It's a reason to respect what it's actually doing inside you. And that respect is what turns compliance into partnership. So here's what to carry with you. Next time you reach for a painkiller, you're not just taking a pill. You're making an informed trade. And now you know both sides of it. That's not a reason for worry. That's the whole point of understanding your own biology. If this decoded something you didn't expect, subscribe. Every prescription has a mechanism like this one hiding behind it. We'll keep decoding them, one at a time. Now you know what's actually happening. Vital Code.